Hello, I'm Casey Aiken, and this is 21 This Week. Coming up next, with more than 20 candidates for running for president, is the presidential race already a joke? Should the rest of Maryland pay to rebuild Baltimore City? More celebrity politics as Kathleen Matthews announces she's running for Congress. And finally, 71 years after D-Day, how safe is the world today? Stay tuned. Our panel of insiders will give you the story behind the story. We're joined by political strategist Susan Heltemes, Democratic insider Sam Statland, and Republican Robin Uncapher. Stay tuned for these stories and more on the next 21 This Week. In an effort to restore the tarnished image of the city of Baltimore, Maryland Governor Larry Hogan announced he was holding an event at Morgan State University and was encouraging the businesses hurt by the wanton lawlessness and rioting to meet with federal, state, and city officials that are offering recovery assistance. At the same time, Democratic lawmakers are asking the governor to take $1 million from the state's rainy day fund for the city's summer jobs program for the youth. The Youth Work Program already receives $1.5 million in state sponsorship. Sam, it's very easy for the city of Baltimore to seek help from the state in the wake of the damage it suffered from the riots. But is it fair to the rest of the taxpayers of the state of Maryland to rebuild Baltimore?
Casey, I think an additional $1 million investment from us citizens of Baltimore will go a long way to prevent more destruction in the future. I really think that we need to do a lot more in Baltimore. The east side of Baltimore has, where Johns Hopkins University is, great job of rehabilitation. West side of Baltimore, where all these destructive actions took place, poor side.
So,
these kids need
so
shelter.
$1 million, an extra $1 million is going to keep all those youth, those teenagers who rioted and burned and destroyed 360 businesses from doing so again?
I think it would go a long way to help. My other idea is to put in a great summer school program so the kids aren't on the street if they're not working, where they could further their education and become more responsible citizens.
Maybe the police should go through the videotapes and lock up some of the youth that were burning and rioting, and maybe that could be their summer job program.
I think the problem created by the riots and actions of the police is now they're so much under camera and that they're afraid to be policemen. They're afraid to act like policemen.
Well, let's get back to the rioters. Robin, is it fair for the rest of Maryland to have to pay for Baltimore to be rebuilt?
Well, I think they're trying to spend money to solve a different problem than the problem that caused the riots. The problem that caused the riots was police brutality. They should spend some money reforming the police force. Forget that this is just used as a boondoggle to spend money in places which didn't actually cause the riots. The city of Baltimore has paid out millions of dollars, paid those millions of dollars when Martin O'Malley was the mayor of Baltimore, did nothing about the police brutality problem. Now it is completely out of control, and they're still doing nothing. But what are they doing? Oh, well, let's pour some money into youth jobs. No, I don't think so. I think youth are at risk in Baltimore because of the way the police have handled things, and that has got to be reformed.
Susan, we've heard two different opinions, one from Sam, one from Robin. What do you think?
Well, there are two different issues. First of all, in terms of the jobs program, I think anything we can do, believe it or not, there are 8,000 youths that applied for summer jobs. I think that's a sense of the severity of the need in Baltimore. And there is money coming from, the feds have already guaranteed money in the rebuilding of Baltimore. But the one thing that differentiates people in this world from succeeding and not succeeding is if they have a job. And if those kids don't have a start, they're never going to get anywhere. So I think summer jobs are great. They have something to put on a piece of paper.
But it's not just summer jobs. The summer jobs program is just the nose of the camel under the tent. We sit on this show year in and year out and complain about all of our tax money going to Baltimore City. How is this any different?
Well, I think that When you think about the youth of Baltimore, I think there is pretty much a sense across the state that anything we can do to give them a leg up is worthwhile. And in terms of rebuilding Baltimore, sometimes we all have to take one for the Gipper, as old Ronald Reagan would say. And, you know, the feds are in agreement. People across this country
Is there ever been
are
a social program you didn't like, Susan?
Pay some now to prevent paying a lot more later.
That's right.
Really?
Yes.
You think that's the issue?
I think
You
that-
think an extra $1 million is going to turn these kids around
Well, it's-
when they're already bent on destruction?
Casey, you are wrong. The number of kids who are involved in the violence of Baltimore is minimal. You are not talking, there are 8,000 who have applied for summer jobs. Maybe there were 500 involved with the destruction. That's it. You know, and you combine that with the police brutality that Robin was talking about, we were heading for danger. And millions have been paid out, but it went beyond Martin O'Malley. They've been paying it out for years.
Susan, you're going to have the last word on this. We're going to debate the fate of Baltimore City and its rebuilding projects for a long, long time to come. Now, the race to succeed Congressman Chris Van Hollen livened up this week when TV personality Kathleen Matthews announced that she was seeking the open seat. Like 6th District Congressman John Delaney when he ran for office, Matthews is well known in National Democratic Party circles, but has never run for elective office. In addition to Matthews, there are 4 other Democrats, State Senator Jamie Raskin, State Delegates Coomer Barvey, and Saul Gutierrez, and former White House aide Will Jawando running for the position. Susan, isn't it a slap in the face of the party activists to have a celebrity candidate parachute into the race just because she's rich and wealthy?
Yeah, anybody can run who they want. We're a big tent, Casey. I keep saying that. Anybody can run who wants to. I think you're wrong, though, saying that she's well known in Democratic circles. Her husband
Nationally. National Democrat.
Her husband is well known. She has been working for Marriott for quite a few years and has kept a very low profile. But what separates her from John Delaney is John Delaney had been a fundraiser and was a close associate of Hillary Rodham Clinton, and that brought him some gravitas. I think she's going to have a long road to hoe.
You
Sam,
also
what do you
can't
think
compare
about
that
this?
race because his race was one-on-one against a candidate who was favored by the party insiders who literally absolutely blew it in some of his activities. I think that she has a long, hard way to go.
Robin.
Kathleen Matthews is I have to say, she doesn't have it because she has a lot of money. She has huge name recognition. She was on television every night when my children were small, year after year after year. She's a good anchor woman. She's well known, and I have no idea how she feels about anything,
win a
but
race,
she's very well
Don't
known.
you think in a multi-candidate race that she's got a chance to win?
No, because she has to build. Remember, this race is in the Democratic primary. So those people who have name recognition and have worked within the Democratic Party within the county, Jamie Raskin,
All right.
number 1 on the
No,
list.
she has
But
huge
will have-
name recognition.
What about the west
Huge
side?
name
What about the
No,
western
she's not even
side
close.
of
As I said
this
before,
congressional
Robin,
district?
she'd have been better off running as a Republican.
Those people in Potomac, those
Anybody
people
who
in
turned on
Chevy
the
Chase,
TV
No,
said
no
they're
way.
gonna
They're gonna vote for her.
Anna Sol Gutierrez has
they don't
more
know.
of a-
The people in Potomac don't know Jamie Raskin from anybody else.
Anna Sol Gutierrez has a better shot at the nomination than Kathleen will.
No, I
Yes.
don't think that.
Well, you have to look at the demographics of the district.
Yeah.
I
You have
live
the
in that district, and I
Hispanic
know
sickle
exactly
right
who they
down
are,
there.
and they were all turning their TV
You have the
sets on.
power
I think
vote
it's
in,
gonna-
in that
for
district.
years.
The power vote is down in the Chevy Chase
You know
area.
what? And that's
the
where
bulk of
she
it, through
lives.
Tacoma
That's
Park.
where
People
she
will
lives.
come
Nah, but you know
vote
that-
What's interesting about this race, and I think it will be determined in large part of how well they do in debates and how well she handles the issues. And I went to a debate, when John Delaney came in, and he did incredibly well.
Let's assume that she does well.
Well, not only that, but of all
I mean,
the
she's a
Democratic
she's a very
candidates I've
smart
asked,
lady. She's been on TV
yeah.
for 20 years before
She
she
knows
took the
how to handle
Marriott
herself.
job.
and the event she had was strictly a media event. No
Yeah.
Democrats
She's
that
a
I know of were
professional.
invited to this
She's a
event.
professional
She's
presenter.
going to be able to raise a ton of money, and she's going to be able to tap
So you
it.
think you can buy an election in Montgomery County?
Oh, it's never been done before?
Never, ever.
Never been done before.
She has
oh,
what
I'm
money can't buy.
I'm shocked. There must be gambling in this establishment. All right, Robin, have the Republicans abdicated the seat to the Democrats?
No, of course not. No, of course not. And
Oh,
not
yeah,
any
who's-
more than they abdicated the governor's seat. to
No,
the
but are you going to have anybody run? I mean, at least the governor
Me
ran.
personally?
No.
No.
No, I mean,
I'm sure she's not going to run unopposed.
who's
Who
going to
isn't
run
gonna run
unopposed?
unopposed?
You're talking about Kathleen Matthews?
No, I'm talking about
well,
a
what about
Republican.
Jamie
She is
Raskin?
not.
You're talking about.
I thought
I'm
you said
sure
Anna Sol Gutierrez was going to win.
No.
The
Kathleen,
nominee
I said
is not
no.
going to run unopposed.
All right, we're going to have to.
Kathleen would have
we're
had a
gonna have
better
to
shot
handy-
as
we're-
running as a Republican.
All right, well,
She
we're gonna
would.
have-
You're right
She
there.
was a Republican.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to have to handicap this race later on when it gets closer to the election. And when we come back from this short break, is the presidential race already a joke, or is it too soon to tell? And 71 years after the war that made America safe, how safe are we now? Stay tuned. And welcome back. The campaign for president begins earlier and earlier every election cycle. At last count, there were about 19 Republicans running for the nomination and 3 or 4 Democrats. And whether you like her or you hate her, the race seems more like Hillary and the 19 Dwarfs than a political campaign. Robin, Republican Jeb Bush has been non-running for so long that even third-tier comedian Seth Meyers is making fun of him. Why don't they call the whole primary thing off and give the presidency to Hillary right now?
I don't think you can assume that the person who was the first serious female presidential candidate in the history of the United States is a shoo-in. People would have thought that she was a shoo-in 8 years ago, or, in 2008. So I don't think you can make that assumption. I also think that, if people made that assumption early on, President Muskie would have come in. So it's much too early to tell, in my opinion.
All right, Sam, despite the scandal du jour that seems to follow the Clintons around like a cloud, isn't the Democratic nomination over and done?
I thought the question was who's the GOP nominee? Did I miss that someplace? Who-
Jeb
Jeb
Bush
Bush?
is the candidate in waiting?
Is he?
June
He's a
15th.
pretty interesting candidate, I think.
Sam,
I do
I
too.
asked you the question.
What was the question again?
The question is Hillary going to win
Hillary
the nomination?
I think Hillary will win the nomination. What concerns me is her negatives, the negatives that she's getting. In the last polls, she wasn't doing so well. But I think that will pass in time. Once we get over the stuff about the
There's going to
international
be there'll be
monies
some
that
other
they
there'll be
raise.
some other new scandal.
Probably
The
someplace.
whiff of scandal follows
but
Hillary
it's
around,
called-
and it has been for 20 years.
But the Clintons have Teflon. They are so Teflon, it's unbelievable.
You think?
I do.
But if then why are you worried about the scandals? I mean, I think
I'm not
I
worried,
think
I'm
the
just
fact
saying
that
it's a
her
negative.
poll numbers are dropping is recognition of the fact that the scandals are having an
What are
effect.
we, 18 months out now?
I
Got a
don't know.
long way
She's
to
come
go.
back in
She'll
the
come
past.
back.
I have to say, this last one though, this was bad judgment. This cell phone thing was, and the email thing was a really
You
not
don't
a good
you don't think this the Clinton Foundation thing is going to resonate?
In my opinion, a Secretary of State who uses unsecure email is a problem.
In your opinion, but the opinion of the voters who think that there's a tie-in between big business and the corrupt and
Oh,
and
I
a
think
corrupt
they're so
politics.
cynical about that part already.
I think
that
it's the last
I'm not
90
sure it'll
days
make
that
a
counts.
difference.
And I think that when you start looking at what the Clinton Foundation does, I mean, they do good work around the
But
world.
they're
and-
rated poorly. They're rated poorly in terms of how much they spend.
Well,
on
they have a new
administration.
director, Donna Shalala is going in, and trust me, if there's one thing that little mighty midget can do is pull things around.
She's ruined 2 universities. What are you kidding me?
She did not ruin 2 universities. One of them was my alma mater, and nobody would say that she ruined the University of Wisconsin.
Well, what has she done at the University of Miami that was so fantastic?
Had
Nothing.
a great football team.
Nothing.
That's all Florida wants is a football team.
Yeah.
She's a very capable woman, and I think having her at the helm will make a big difference. But I think you can't, when you have 19 people running after you, I mean, look at it. Secretary.
She only has 3 people.
No,
she only has 3 people.
Oh,
running
Casey,
after her.
give me a
She's
break.
got she's got Martin O'Malley, this guy Lincoln Chafee, who thinks
And
we should
Bernie
be on,
Sanders.
be on the
I'm not
metric
talking about
system.
them. I'm talking about the
Well,
Republicans.
no, there's only one primary. You got to win the primary
Casey,
first, Susan.
you were talking.
Barack Obama beat her the last time in the primary. or
Casey,
she'd be
you're not
president today.
listening to me. Let
You're
me
right.
finish, which is usually the case. But she has been pillared and barraged like you can't imagine from the 19 or how many ever Republicans it is. I will hope that soon they're going to start attacking each other. But right now they're all batting at poor Hillary.
I think the media is battering at poor.
And
at poor
Hillary's
Hillary.
having a very nice fundraiser this week here in Montgomery County.
You go into it.
No, I can't afford it.
10 grand a head.
No, it's not that much.
How
But
much was it? How
It's-
much? Come on.
it's a couple thousand.
It's $5,000 a person.
No,
right?
it's less. But
You're going?
And what's
don't get to sleep in the malignant
and it's
bedroom.
10,000 if you want a private audience with Her Holiness. Is that it? Huh?
Casey,
that part.
why are you attacking her? Why don't you think about the Republicans? We haven't talked
Yeah, I
about
thought we
them and
started
their
about-
problems.
Didn't we start
I
talking
called
19?
them the 19 dwarfs.
Wasn't
What
the
more do
lead
you?
in
What do you want more than
Let's
that?
talk about the dwarves.
You
Where are
want to talk
they?
about this? Okay, sleepy, grumpy, dopey. Which one do you like?
And Jebby is
the other.
coming on
All
board
right.
on the 15th of June.
All right, we got to wrap that bad boy up. We chewed that one up to nothing. All right, the 6th of June, which is tomorrow for those of us on taping tonight, is the 71st anniversary of the Normandy landing, the epic D-Day that changed the course of history during World War II. And even though there were other significant battles that same day, like the fall of Saipan in the Pacific and the capture of Rome, it is D-Day that symbolizes America's great effort to rid the world of tyranny. Now, these many years later, there's still regional wars of political conquest being waged. So the question needs to be posed, how safe are we today? And if not, where does the threat come from? We'll start with you, Susan.
I think we have different threats now than we did then. Cybersecurity is alive and well, as was shown this week when somebody broke into the government's HR files. And then we have Korea that has a small bomb, supposedly, that they can get to the west coast of the United States. That's a little bit disconcerting. We have China going crazy in the sea over there and building little extra pieces of land. We have the lone wolves that are probably alive and well, and ISIS zealots in this country. So in many ways, we're not that safe. And I think that the 24-hour-a-day media is only making us less secure.
Robin, Susan just listed a litany of external threats. What do you think is the most dangerous?
I think that all of the things that Susan mentioned, but I think we always continuously underestimate how much danger people were in the past. And I just recently been studying quite a bit about World War II, and I read the Truman biography, and we forget how awful it was. I mean, I was reading some memoirs of my father's, and he said that of the 50 boys in his high school class, 45 of them were in the service, getting out. Now,
How many survived, I wonder?
Imagine a situation where virtually every family you know has somebody in the service, somebody at risk to die. 400,000 young men died. It is simply unbelievable. And that was just us. That was just us in the service. So I think we forget how horrific things have been in the past. They're probably about the same as they were then, but everything's different. Like
I think the difference is personal safety. When you have a world war going on or a war, you know where the danger area is. You don't deliberately go there, and therefore you don't feel personally at risk. Today in the world, when you're traveling, you go to Paris, you go to London, you can
go to New York.
You go to New York
City
and look at the World
and
Trade
you know around, and in your thoughts somewhere maybe, gee, is that bus going to blow up? Is this guy going to have a vest on? Mm-hmm. And that's the personal fear that we now have, that comes from these terrorist operations.
Do you think?
So
But
that's
do you
one
think
kind of
Americans
fear.
really recognize the threats, or
Well,
do you think we're inured to it?
I've gone to 7 continents, 11 seas, a lot of different countries. And I really have never felt that way until recently in my last trip to Australia. where I really felt kind of personally at risk. If I'm thinking about it, other people that are traveling think the same way.
Yeah.
To me, that's one threat that I personally feel. The other threat that I personally feel is because of the cyber security. You know, what if somebody hits my Fidelity accounts and absolutely wipes out my retirement? How possible is that? And my bank accounts, much less my emails and my LinkedIn and all of the
And
web
cut
pages.
our electrical sources. They
Exactly.
could
I'm
turn
really
off the-
tempted. You know, I've been thinking about this for weeks now. I think on Monday, I'm going to go completely off the internet, everything. And I'm going to cash my money in and take it and stuff it in a bank someplace at 0% interest, because that's the only way financially I could really, really feel secure. Now, I'm saying that tongue in cheek, but I think a lot of people feel that way.
But it's still not even secure in the bank,
No.
Sam, because the bank records could be hacked
But then
and be wiped out.
But then it's insured by our federal government.
Only,
yeah.
We're
but
spending your money to replace mine,
more
and
money.
I like it.
Print more money, exactly.
no, but I think the sense is everywhere. For instance,
But is the threat that I'm hearing from you is that domestically we feel that there's a threat to us individually from sources unknown and from cybersecurity.
and then there is
Travel.
obviously everything that's going on in the Middle East that we hear about day after day after day. But you know, one of the places that all of the buzz is about supposedly is one of the main targets that is supposedly being thought about in this country is the Mall of America. Now that hits really close to my home and my family
Well,
and my friends.
they've attacked malls.
They attacked
I know.
the Pentagon. That's right next door.
No, but the ones that you know are highest ratings right now is the Mall of America. Now, if you can't feel safe going shopping,
But just think how vulnerable any public retail environment is. I mean, they're all open to the public.
I know people that
Anyone
won't
can
go to
go
downtown
in there
DC.
and
Yeah.
Stay
attack.
away downtown DC, won't go on the metro.
Really?
Yeah.
yeah, there is a certain uneasiness that I think is prevalent across the country that I've never felt before. And you talk to people across the country, and there is a sense that, you know, no matter where you go in this world or where you go in this country, bad things are going to happen.
It's a
9/11
personal.
changed everything.
It's a personal at risk that you feel, whether locally because of cybersecurity or the possibility of a local explosion by one individual, or traveling, going into an area where the possibility exists, versus a war where you know where the danger area is.
Sam, I'm going to let you define it and have the last word. Stay tuned for parting shots when we come back from the short break.
We've got a 2-year
Now,
moratorium.
welcome back with parting shots. Susan Heltemes.
I think all of America is sharing in the grief this week with Vice President Joe Biden at the loss of his son, Beau, who died of brain cancer. If there's two things you can say about Joe Biden is he loves his family and he loves his country. And the pictures that I have seen of Vice President Biden this week dealing with this, they're palpable. I mean, the man is going through such fear and such sorrow, and he's had a lot in his life, and so my prayers and my sympathy go to the Biden family.
Thank you, Susan. Robin Uncapher, your parting shot.
Well, Casey, I was on a bus last night that was in an accident. And why was this bus in trouble? Because it was probably about 40 years old. We have got to fix the bus system that runs through Montgomery County. This happened to be a J bus that makes it a Metro bus. It doesn't matter. We have a serious problem. We have to stop talking about what's exciting to build and talk about fixing what we have.
Thank you, Robin. Sam Statland, your parting shot.
I want to give a big thumbs up to Chris Van Hollen because of a recent debate with Don Edwards. Chris, of course, behaved like a gentleman. He knew the facts, presented them well, and didn't rip her apart, which she was entitled to be because of her ignorance. So go, Chris.
Thank you, Sam. I want to thank the panel. And I do want to think about the importance of the Normandy invasion in D-Day and the significance that it meant for us all. There was a time when America was a leading light for liberty and freedom, and I would like to think that we still are. I want to thank you for being here tonight, and I want to thank the audience for tuning in to each week to Montgomery County's hardest-hitting political talk show. For 21 This Week, I'm Casey Aiken, and remember, you can follow us on our social media sites to keep informed on all the happenings in Montgomery County. For 21 This Week, I'm Casey Aiken.